Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is John Cottrell, and this is Power Hour. This is a 60-minute power vinyasa yoga practice. So, welcome. Before we get started, let me just tell you what we'll need for this practice because we'll need a few things. Of course, you'll need your yoga mat. Go ahead and roll that out. You might even want to have a bottled water nearby if you want to take a couple of sips during your practice. Be sure to take some breaks during your practice. That's perfectly fine. But in regards to props, I'm going to suggest that you grab a couple of blocks. One will be fine. I've got my blocks are a little bit thinner, and so I use two. So if you've got one of the standard blocks, which happen to be a little thicker, one is fine. But if you happen to have two, two's great. Alrighty. And then you want something soft, like a blanket that you can fold up. We're going to be doing some postures where we might need some extra cushioning underneath us, okay? So have a blanket or just something soft that you can use for your practice as well. And we're going to be focusing on your psoas. Okay, so what's your psoas? Okay, think about your hip flexors, just kind of this region of your body. You know, the part where it just allows your legs to lift, and you sit and can stand, just this area. But what can happen is if you happen to sit all day, that area of the body can get tight. It's almost like you're going to get stuck in this, in this posture. Well, there's also some other muscle groupings in here too. And the psoas is actually a long strip of muscles that actually start at your spine and then run down to the inner part of your femur or your thigh bone. And again, those areas, that muscle fiber system can also get tight, okay? And so these are some poses that are going to open up in this area. So yes, there will be some back bends and just some lengthening in our practice. Okay, so let's start in mountain pose. So I invite you to stand near the top of your mat with your feet about hip distance apart and toes forward. We're only going to stand here for just maybe 30 seconds. Just want you to establish some alignment from your hips down to your feet and just feel this connection into the earth. So you feel grounded, balanced, and connected. Maybe after a breath or two, feel free to either stay just like this or even take your feet slightly wider. And you can even turn your toes out. And this might feel a bit more natural for you. Just be sure you're still planted evenly on both feet, that you haven't shifted your weight to one side or the other. So find that sense of balance. And then from the upper body, waistline all the way up, just feel yourself grow a little taller, lengthening through your spine. You might even just roll your shoulders back easily and let your arms just hang naturally down by your side. Let's get into breath. You're welcome to close your eyes for this process or just soften your eyes, gaze forward or downward, and just start breathing deeply. Now you might breathe in through your nose. You can exhale through your nose or through your mouth if you'd like. If you happen to breathe out through your mouth, just sigh. And maybe just continue to feel some loosening in your neck and your shoulders and your back. So a few deep breaths just to get reacquainted with your breathing, tuning into your body. And then you can just continue with slow, steady breaths in and out. You may want to breathe in a way where you can certainly feel your breath as you take these deep breaths, and maybe even hear your breath. Very good. Just moving inward. And this is also a nice opportunity to create an intention, a personal intention for your practice. Even though we're going to be working on a particular part of the body, lengthening, opening, extending, maybe you want to encourage maybe some opening or release. Go ahead and take 3 slow, deep breaths in and out as a way to prepare your body to move. And when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms overhead, reach all the way up. And exhale, we're going to fold forward. So a good hinge from your hips. Bend your knees as much as you need to here as you make your way down towards your toes. You can touch your toes, but you don't have to. Maybe your hands can land just below your knees. Then inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or your thighs to extend your spine, a long flat back. Then exhale, come back down to a forward fold. If you do want to touch your toes, just bend your knees a little bit more, even allow your back to round, and maybe hang heavily forward for a moment. And this can create some lengthening through the backs of your legs, also some extension and lengthening through your spine. And if you hang forward, you can loosen things up in your neck. Just nod yes, shake your head no softly, gently. Roll your shoulders by making circles. Deep breathing. And just feel some of that release. We want to create space in the body. All right, from here, go ahead and shift your weight back into your heels. Bend your knees. Let your hips drop like you're sitting down into a chair. Look forward. And then take your arms out to the side. Then stand up with a full breath in, standing tall, reaching into the air. And exhale, bring your hands together and down to your heart. Hold here for a breath or two. That was our half salute to the sun. And we're going to do that one more time. Here we go. Inhale, let's reach high. Big stretch, lengthening through the sides of your body. Exhale, we'll fold forward, again with soft knees, making your way down, maybe touching your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or thighs, fully extended spine, so you're parallel to the ground. We'll exhale back down. Brief pause right there. Shifting weight back into your heels, bend your knees, look forward, spread your wings as you inhale and come all the way back up to standing. Reach a little higher. You can even rise up onto your tiptoes if you'd like. Exhale, bring your heels down and then your hands together and down to your heart. Right there. Hold. Let's just find that reconnection to the ground, both feet. A couple of deep breaths. And we'll continue in a moment with our full sun salutation, starting with Series A. When you're ready, inhale, extend your arms all the way up, extending. Exhale, let's fold forward, hinging at the hips, soft knees. Inhale, rise up halfway, full lengthened spine. We call this monkey pose as a nickname. Exhale, bend your knees, bring your hands to the ground out in front of you, and we'll step back into plank pose. Let's hold plank for a moment, pressing firmly into the mat with the hands. You have strong, straight arms. Long legs, you're on your toes, of course. Make sure your hips are slightly lifted. They might be even at shoulder level. Breathe in, and then your exhale, bend your knees slightly, send your hips into the air, moving into downward facing dog. And that's our shortcut, just a quick trip from plank pose to downward facing dog. You can do that anytime in your practice. Be sure your hands are still pressing firmly into the ground. Energy in your arms. You want to feel like your inner arms are actually squeezing in towards each other. Keep a slight bend in your knees, lifting up through the hips as if you're trying to reach your hips up to touch the ceiling. This should extend your spine nicely. All right, take a full breath in. We're going to move. Exhale, navel to spine. Bend your knees, walk, step, or hop. Both feet back up to the top of your mat. Inhale to extend your spine. Exhale, fold. Weights in the heels, soft knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Let's grow tall, reaching up into the air. And exhale, hands together and back down to your heart. We're going to move right away into Series B. Here we go. Inhale, reach all the way up again. Energy through your fingertips. Exhale. This time take chair pose. Utkatasana, chair pose. We're going to inhale in chair, extending out through the arms. Exhale, diving out of your seat, down towards toes, forward fold. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, hands to the ground. Let's step or walk back. Here's plank pose. Now you can stay like this for a moment. Take your shortcut to down dog after your inhale, or as you exhale, chaturanga dandasana, finishing your push-up. Inhale to upward facing dog or cobra pose. Exhale onto your toes, lifting hips into the air, downward facing dog. Let's pause again for a second, settle into the posture, and then we're going to continue. Here's your inhale, extending right leg up behind you, reach long. Exhale, right foot to the top of the mat.
Left heel to the ground behind you. Be sure to shift your weight back into that foot so there's balance between both feet. Hands should be light enough to inhale and rise up, warrior one. We're facing forward. Nice lunge in front there. Exhale, fold. Let's bring the hands back down to the ground. We'll step back into plank pose. If you'd like the shortcut to down dog or go through the complete series, chaturanga, find your back bend here and hips in the air for downward facing dog. When you're ready, inhale, extend left leg up behind you, reach long. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat, right heel to the ground, balance between 2 feet. Light hands, inhale, float your way up, warrior one. And your exhale, folding carefully, hands back down to the ground, step back into plank pose, complete your series. We'll meet together in downward facing dog. Hold for a moment. We're going to make our way down to the ground. You're going to take a seat. So you can hop forward, cross your legs and take a seat, or kneel down. Take a seat in the center of your mat. Now go ahead and just have your blocks or one block handy. Okay, we might use those for this next pose. We're going to lie down. I'm just going to adjust my mat here. We're going to lie down. We're going to go into bridge pose. Now, bridge pose is great because it is a back bend, a heart opener, but it does start to lengthen and open up in the area that we're focusing on in this class, which is hip flexors and the psoas. So the blocks can come in handy, okay, for these next 2 poses that we're going to do. Now, first, we want to make sure the feet are planted, knees bent, nice straight line of your shins here, your bottom portion of the legs from knee to ankle. We're going to breathe in to fill up the lungs. You're going to exhale to empty your belly, even engage the muscles in the belly, and then lift your hips up into the air. Now, the option is to slide your blocks underneath you and just sit on the blocks. Okay, just makes it more of a supported bridge pose. You don't have to hold yourself up. So you're welcome to do that, or keep it a little bit more active without the blocks. Just use your feet pressing down into the ground, a lifting sensation. You can even use your arms, bend your elbows at 90 degrees, pressing arms into the ground, just to help open up through the chest a little bit more, making it a little bit more of a back bend. And remember, we are doing some back bends, other back bends in this practice, okay? So again, you can make this active this way without the blocks, which does activate your legs. You can feel this in your thighs, at your belt line, in that low belly area. You can make this more relaxed by sitting on the blocks and let those muscles relax. But our next pose is going to allow some relaxation, okay? So a couple more breaths here, just imagining, feeling these nice openings through the whole front side of your body, okay? Stay in bridge pose. Now, if you're on your blocks, go ahead and just stay on your blocks. Or if you're in bridge and you're not using your blocks, bring them in now, 1 or 2, and then just sit, okay? And so everything can start to relax. So we're still kind of in this bridge pose, but we've got a little bench that we're sitting on, okay? Now what we'll do, let's start with the left leg. That's the leg you can probably see of mine. So we'll start with the left leg. You're just gonna lift that knee, lift that leg, and just draw that leg in toward yourself, kind of like if you were sitting in a chair, it'd be bent like this. But then we're gonna push through the heel and out and all the way down to the ground, okay? And it just creates a nice lengthening sensation through this whole front side, okay? So the foot, you can keep the foot flexed if you want. You can even relax that whole leg and foot, okay? Because we've got the blocks, it's lifting us and creating that little ridge or like a little hill right here, right in the hip, low belly, and upper thigh. So it's a little bit more relaxed, okay? Great, very, very simple exercise you can do if you just need to kind of lengthen things out. All right, so we're just going to bend that knee and just plant that foot back down into the ground, and we'll do the other leg. So we'll bring, in this case, for me, it's my right leg, bringing it in, and then we'll extend, pushing through the heel and gently bringing it down to the ground. And just see if you can just relax here. To add just a little bit more, if you want, just an option, you can even extend one arm or both arms behind you. Okay, just lengthening. So it feels like you're moving in opposite directions, just creating a little bit more length through the entire body, especially in that middle section that we're focusing on. Okay. Just a couple more breaths. Kind of an easy does it, relaxing pose. And then when we're done, we'll just bend that knee, plant both feet into the ground, lift your hips so you can remove your blocks, set them to the side, come all the way down. Make contact with the earth, and let's keep it moving. Let's draw both knees into chest. Start a careful rocking forward and back. Make sure you're breathing, and with a good exhale, see if you can rock yourself up to seated, and we'll come to boat pose. Now, we're not going to be in boat too long because that might, stiffen things up again, because boat pose is almost like a chair-like position, a seated position. So we won't be here too long. All right. I like to have the heels on the ground, feet flexed. Hold on to the backs of the knees to sit up tall. That's an inhale. Exhale, engage belly and lean back. Now you could just stay like this, heels on the ground. You know what? Let's actually do this. Keep the heels on the ground, because it's going to take some of the energy away from the legs and more effort in the core, your abdominal muscles. And again, we won't be here too long. Okay, this is more of a transitional posture. Okay, let's move from here. Breathe in. Then exhale, cross legs if you can. Roll forward out onto the hands in front. Step back into plank pose. Hold. Let's just take a shortcut to downward facing dog. Nice re-extension of spine. Let's continue our lunge sequence. You're going to inhale, extend right leg up behind you, reach long. Exhale, right foot to the top of the mat, left heel to the ground. Here we go, warrior one. And exhale, opening to warrior two. Let's hold this for a few breaths. Maybe a nice wide stance. Okay, taking the feet a little bit wider apart. Nice lunge here. Okay, this is going to activate a little bit more in this section. Okay, thigh. Okay, side body a little bit into that hip flexor and psoas region. Okay, and then a side angle. So reach out, angled upper body, rotate your arms, reaching down, reaching up. Maybe a nice lengthening sensation through the left side of your body. You can even bring this left arm overhead for an additional stretch. That might feel nice. And here we go. Breathe in. Exhale, we'll turn so we can bring both hands back down to the ground. Step back, plank pose. Just pause for a second. And then our shortcut to down dog. Make sure you have that nice extension through spine. Then we'll inhale, extend left leg up. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat. Right heel plants into the ground. Here we go. Float your arms up into the air, warrior one. And our exhale, warrior two. Settle in, make some adjustments if you'd like. Lunging a little deeper by taking the feet farther apart. Make sure there's good energy in your arms. Then our side angle. We're reaching out, angled upper body. Rotate your arms, reach up, reach down. Good energy in those extensions. If you like, even reaching this right hand overhead, lengthening through the right side of your body. A couple more breaths here. We'll inhale, and then our exhale to turn so we can bring both hands back down to the ground. We'll step back, plank pose, hold for a moment. And again, we'll just take a shortcut to down dog. Breathe in. As you exhale, walk, step, or hop both feet up to the top of your mat. Stay on your feet. Inhale, extend spine. Exhale, fold. Weights in the heels, soft knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Let's come up to standing. Very good. Reaching high. And exhale, hands down to your heart. Very nice. Just take a couple more breaths here. And we'll just continue and add on to our sequence. Here we go. Whenever you're ready, inhale, reach high, extended mountain pose. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, rise up halfway, monkey pose. Exhale, bent knees, hands to the ground. Walk or step back into plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's just keep this in motion. Inhale, extend right leg up. Let's bend the knee. Bring your heel down towards your backside. A little lift of the knee, creating a little bit of a twist and a hip opener. As we exhale, we'll unwind, send right foot to the top of the mat. Left heel plants. Feel that connection. Inhale, rise. Warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Just going through the same sequence, just a little bit more fluid. Extended mountain. Extended side angle pose. That's what we want here. Okay, so side angle, right hand down, left hand up. Breathing in. And our exhale, we're going to turn, bring hands to the floor. We're going to step back, plank pose with the right foot lifted. Hold here for a moment. So we're in plank. We've got the right foot lifted just a few inches off the ground, maybe pointing through your toes to the back of the room. Just some energy and strength. But then bend that right knee and set the knee onto the ground directly underneath your hip. Okay? Now, if you need some extra padding, you can bring in your blanket if you want. Okay? So you may be kneeling on the blanket or just on your mat. You're just going to swing your right foot off to the right side. And we're just going to open this up by taking left hand up into the air. It's just side plank pose with the variation since we have the knee on the ground. Kicking that right foot behind you just creates some stability for your pose. Let's add on to this by extending left arm overhead, reaching through the fingertips, and this left foot that's still on the ground behind you there, flex the foot just to energize the foot and the leg. And actually, it can stay on the ground if you'd like right here, or even float it into the air like this. If you can, go ahead and lift it and reach to the back of the room through your foot. Let's breathe in. Exhale. Let's bring everything back down to the ground. Okay. Bring your kickstand back in. Go ahead and bring both knees to the ground. So you're just on your hands and knees for a moment. Let's just take a series of breaths moving through cat and cow. It's an inhale to cow, which is the looking up or forward, creating this minor back bend. Exhale, round it out. Cat pose. Do that a few more times. Paying attention to the nice fluidity through the spine. That rocking sensation through your pelvis. And the breathing effort, especially the exhale, when you're rounding the spine into cat, pulling the belly button up towards spine. Finish the breath that you're on and take one more. Okay, come to a kneeling position, a little tabletop posture. And we'll set it right back up for down dog. You might even step your hands forward a little bit, tuck your toes, and with an exhale, core engagement, lift your knees and hips, downward facing. Let's go ahead and inhale now and extend left leg into the air, bend and twist. So bend your knee, heel comes down, a little lift of the knee, twisting of the spine. It's gradual, but it's a nice hip opener. Exhale, unwind, step through, left foot to the top of the mat, right heel plants down behind you, connect. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. And your exhale to warrior two. We're flowing. So side angle right away, left hand down, right hand up. Or the full version, extended side angle pose, because we're reaching up through this right hand and even overhead if you'd like. This is going to get us set up for that side plank pose too. Let's breathe in. Exhale, turn. Let's bring the hands down to the ground. Step back, plank, keeping the left foot lifted just a few inches off the ground, energetically reaching for the back of the room for a moment. We're going to bend that knee and set the knee onto the mat gently. Be sure there's a straight line right here, hip to knee, straight line. Okay, this left foot, we're just swinging it off to the left side. For our kickstand, lean into the left hand. So you can open up, right hand into the air, side plank pose. Good energy as you reach up initially, then maybe over your head. The foot that's on the floor, right foot, flex it. Keep it on the floor if you'd like, or if you can, float it into the air. Reaching in opposite directions. This takes a little bit of balance here too, so just be aware of that. Breathe in. Exhale, let's bring hand and knee back down to the ground. Bring your kickstand back in. Let's do 3 breaths, cat and cow. On your own. And you'll finish and just come back to stillness in this little tabletop position and hold for a moment. All right, let's get off the hands for a second here. As you're able, sit back into hero. Okay, we're not going to be here too long. I just want you to get off your hands. Okay, even a little circle of the hands. Okay, and with a little power, it's going to lift up onto the knees. We're going to get into a lunge in a moment, but let's just stay here for a second because we can also kind of pay attention to the hip flexors and psoas even in this posture. You know, we could go into camel pose, which is a back bend, but we're not going to do camel. But I want you to feel the energetic start of camel, which is being sure, one, that your hips are over your knees, right here, stacked nicely, and then activation here. Just feel like you're just pushing your belt buckle or belt line forward. And you're just going to feel a little energy there. You can even support your back with your hands if you need to, because you might lean back a tiny bit. Okay, you don't want to put any pressure in the low back. So just hold that for a few breaths. Just some energy lengthening through that part of the body right there. And then we're going to get into a lunge. Now here you can bring in a couple of blocks if you want, or even that blanket to kneel on. Okay, we're going to soften this position, okay? Just get out of that activation of the pelvis here. I'm just going to use a block, kind of like a little walking stick or just something to support me, because I'm going to lean over to my left side. You don't have to do this. Leaning over to my left side because I'm going to step my right foot forward, okay? If you can do that easily, go ahead and do that. So we're just going to be like this. And you'll see that you're probably at a 90-degree angle at first. This left knee that's on the ground, if you need to pad it, go ahead and do that with your blanket. Okay, now we're going to lean back just a little bit, taking some of the weight off the right foot and just wiggle that right foot forward. So it's no longer a right angle, okay? And then with both hands on your thigh, just resting, not pressing, just resting there. We're going to inhale and try to get taller. Exhale, pull belly in, and then lunge. Okay, so we're working this left hip flexor area. And you can see when we lunge forward, this knee restacks over the heel or ankle, and that's preferred, so we don't put any pressure here in this right knee. Now you can certainly go a little deeper, and I'm going to go a little deeper. I'm going to take my foot farther forward, lunging a tiny bit deeper. And again, your blocks can come in handy just to support yourself, something like this. You can even lean forward a little bit, or even go much lower with the upper body. You choose, okay? The lower you go with the upper body, you're going to get more into the right leg, okay? But we're also paying attention and focusing on the left leg, because that's the lengthening process right there, okay? Getting into that psoas, lengthening, stretching it, but make it gradual. You don't want to overdo that. We're going to hold this for a few more breaths. One more breath in and out. Let's get out of this deep lunge. So he's basically just kind of pulling back, and I got my little walking stick here to help make my way back up, okay? We even want to slide this right foot back, maybe back to 90 degrees. And we're going to kneel again. I'm just leaning into my left block over there, coming back to knees. I'm just going to lean over to the other side, same thing. So I can step the left foot forward. Okay, wiggle the toes forward, okay? So I can get ready for that nice deep lunge. Resting maybe both hands on your thigh. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lunge. Here's that nice 90-degree angle here. No pressure on the knee. Feel what's happening in the right hip flexor. You can, if you want, going a little deeper. Take your time with this. Even leaning forward. This is nice because it takes that back bend sensation out of the body, okay? And you can just focus more on the right hip flexor If you happen to go a little lower or much lower, you're going to get into the left inner thigh a little bit here too. Same thing, we're just going to hold this for several breaths. Feel what's happening in that right leg. Even in this position, you want to feel like there's some motion going forward, as if you're like trying to get up and take your body forward, okay? And that's going to create even just a little bit more lengthening, especially in that right leg. Okay, 2 more breaths. Okay, same thing to come out. Take your time with this. Just pull the hips back, getting out of that deep lunge, using your blocks if you need to for a little support. I'm going to slide this left foot back and then back onto the knees. Okay, coming down, hands to the ground into our tabletop position right there. Let's just go through another quick flow. Return to down dog. Here we go. Inhale, extend right leg up, bend and twist. Okay, we're going to exhale and bring right foot to the top of the mat, but this time high lunge. So left heel stays lifted behind. Keep the weight centered here so you can easily lift the hands all the way up into the air, high lunge. Reach up, lunge low. Now in this position, we're again getting into this left hip flexor, okay? It's still a bit of a back bend. If this feels fine, stay here. If you'd rather not be in that back bend version, just lean forward a bit, okay? But the deep lunge helps to lengthen through this left leg. Okay, we're going to breathe in, extend, exhale. Just go ahead and open to warrior 2 right there. Let's reverse the warrior, taking right hand up into the air for a side body stretch. We're going to windmill, bring hands to the floor, step back, plank, right foot lifted, bring right knee to the ground underneath hip, make a kickstand, side plank variation, left hand into the air, reach overhead, energy through fingertips. If you can this time, lift the flexed left foot. Reach. Inhale. Exhale, hands and knees back down to the ground. Okay, no cat-cow, just right away into downward facing dog. When you're ready, inhale, extend left leg up into the air, bend and twist. Exhale, unwind, left foot to the top of the mat, high lunge. Balance. Inhale, rise up. Reach high, lunge low. Hold. Stay like this or hinge forward slightly to get out of that back bend. Hold for balance and that lengthening through the right leg. Inhale, rise up a little bit. Exhale, open to warrior 2. Reverse your warrior, taking left hand up, lengthening through left side body, and then our windmill, bringing hands down to the floor in front. Step back, plank pose, left foot lifted slightly or quickly. Bend the knee, bring the knee to the ground. Kickstand with the left foot. Left side plank, variation. Right hand straight up into the air, and then over your head. Flex right foot and lift. Extend in opposite directions. Okay, remember these sensations and that flow. Breathe in. Exhale, return to hands and knees. We will do cat and cow right here. On your own. Just a little massage. All right, one more. And we'll take a little break. So you can just sit back into hero pose. If you can stay like this, fine. If you need to sit on the mat, do that. Get some water, because I'm going to demonstrate the next pose. Okay, so the next pose is a back bend, okay? And it's half bow pose. Bow pose, okay? But half. All right, this is where you might want to use a blanket or something soft underneath you, okay? Now we will be lying on our bellies. Now, if this is uncomfortable, if you're not unable to lie on your belly for any reason, skip this entirely. What you may want to do instead is go back to that bridge pose that we did, okay? And just, extend, sitting on a block and extend a leg, alternating. Just do that instead, okay? Otherwise, watch this demonstration of bow pose. So I've got my blanket for some cushion. I'm going to come back out to plank pose over the cushion, come all the way down to belly. So kind of chaturanga, come down to belly. Long legs, pointed toes. Okay, I'm just holding here. Neck is long, so I'm looking straight down. I'm going to extend my right arm forward. Okay, reaching, and I'm reaching through my toes as well. I'm going to bend left knee like this. With this left hand, I'm going to reach back, and if I can, grab hold of the foot. Okay, just like this. Then I'm just going to reach out with the right hand, reach back through my right foot. And I'm going to actually flex my left foot here and just kind of kick it back. And when I just kind of pull back a little bit, I kind of get a little lifting of my upper body. And I'm going to lift my left thigh a little bit. You probably can't see it, but it's barely lifting off the blanket. And I feel a little energy there. So I'm in a back bend, okay? But getting a little bit of lengthening in a different way through the left thigh. Okay, and hip flexor, okay? So let's give that a try here. So come out, so get your cushion, come out to plank pose. Use the alternative if you'd like instead. All righty, on your back, on the blocks. All right, chaturanga, coming all the way down, lying on your belly. Long legs, point your toes. Okay, hands can just stay underneath the shoulders for a second. We'll do the exact same thing I just demonstrated. Extend your right arm forward. Reach your right toes behind you. We're going to bend the left knee. Okay, if you can, reach back with left hand. If you can, catch the foot. Keep it pointed or even flex. It kind of creates a little hook. Keep reaching through the free limbs. And then kick, just kind of kick the left foot back a little bit, and it kind of lifts your upper body a little. If you're able, only if you're able, see if you can start lifting the knee away from the ground. It may not lift at all, okay? But you are still in a back bend, creating some opening through the front side of the body. Okay, it's half bow because we're only got one foot. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Release the leg. Bring both hands underneath you, underneath your shoulders, and just rest. Come all the way down. Just relax here for a second. Some deep breaths. And if you can, kind of breathe into your low back body. So half bow. So bow like a bow and arrow. That's the bow shape we're creating. We're only doing one leg. So you can imagine holding on to 2 feet, and that creates that bow shape. Okay, other side. Let's extend left arm. Reach through your toes behind you. Bend the right knee. Reach back with right hand, catch the foot or ankle. Keep the foot pointed or flex it. Inhale, reach longer through the free limbs. Exhale, pull belly in or up towards spine. And a little kick of that right foot to start lifting you. And that just puts you a little bit more into the back bend. Okay, you're going to feel this in your right shoulder. Your thigh is starting to barely lift up off the ground. Feel that sensation in your thigh. Keep extending through the free limbs, half bow. One more breath. Then we'll release. Okay, let's bring both hands underneath shoulders. Let's push back to hands and knees, but keep sending the hips back so you can come to child's pose. And then you can even actually move your blanket out of the way if you're using it. But just sit back in child's pose for a moment, just to get some re-extension through the spine, just to counteract that back bend. Two more breaths down here. Take your time with this. You can take more breaths if you need to. We get right away into our next pose. Okay, so we're going to rise back up to hands and knees. Okay, we're going back to that side plank variation. Okay, we're going to make a kickstand with the right foot. Open up sideways, left hand into the air. Left arm overhead, flex left foot lift. We're just going to create another back bend. We're just going to bend this left knee. Reach back if you can. If you can, just touch the heel or grab hold of the foot. If you can't reach at all and it's just air, then just do that, okay? And then as you're able, kind of kicking this foot back. This mimics what we just did, okay, that bow pose on the ground. Now we're just doing it sideways. Okay, nice long neck, opening up through the chest. You want to feel like you're sending your pelvis and your belly forward as you send your head and your foot behind you. And that creates a back bend, a sideways back bend. And it lengthens through the front of the thigh here. Let's release and re-extend. Turn back to hands and knees. One cat and cow, so it's just one breath. Back to neutral tabletop, other side. Kickstand with left foot. Open up sideways. Extending. Right hand overhead. Flex right foot, lift. Reach first because we want to get a nice long spine here. Then we create our back bend by bending the knee. Reach back, either just touch heel, reach for the air, or if you can, grab hold of the ankle. Adding on, just seeing if you can just kind of kick that foot back, lean back with the head. Feel your belly and your pelvis pushing forward. This is what creates that back bend. Pay attention to the leg. The more that the foot reaches behind, we're going to get more in that hip flexor, psoas region. Let's release, re-extend the leg and the arm. Carefully return to tabletop. One breath, cat and cow. Okay, we're going to go back up to a standing position, starting in downward facing dog. Make your way to down dog. And hold down dog for a moment so you can feel this re-extension of spine. You might feel this in your low back. I certainly do. Just get some lengthening back in there. Looking at the top of the mat with a good exhale, walk, step, or hop both feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, extend spine. Exhale, fold. Let's hold that for a couple breaths just to get a little bit more length and release in the low back after those back bends. And then weights in the heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Come up, reach high, big stretch here at the top. Rise up onto tiptoes again. Then heels down, and just bring your arms down by your side. Let's do that right there. And then even shake out those shoulders. A lot of work there. So this has been a lot of prep work, really. Okay, and before we even get to the sequence, I think we're ready for the sequence now because we've got all our components. Okay. All right, so it's really just a series. It's a lot of back bends. Thinking about opening and releasing kind of through the belt line here, just above in that low belly, thigh region, okay? But we're really working muscles that are low and deep in this area of the body. Okay, here we go. Mountain pose. Let's flow. Let's get it moving. Here we go. Inhale, reach into the sky. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bend knees, hands to the ground. Walk or step back. Both feet, plank pose, come down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Okay, this is another opening for the hip flexor region too. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, we're going to inhale, extend right leg up, bend and twist. Another little hip opener. As we exhale, unwind, step right foot to the top of the mat, high lunge. Left heel stays lifted. Find that balance. Inhale, rise, high lunge. Nice and tall up top. Okay, as you're reaching high, as best as you can, kind of wiggle the front toes forward. Okay, we're going to lunge. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Navel to spine, slowly coming down, bringing knee to the ground. Lengthen that foot behind you. Bring hands to thigh. Okay, you might even lean back a little bit if you want. Send that right foot farther forward and then lunge deeply. Yes. We're working left leg. So even though we've got right foot forward through all of this, these next three poses are going to be focusing on left leg. 2 more breaths. All right, coming out of that deep lunge. Okay, pulling back a little bit so I can bring this foot back 90 degrees, both legs. Tuck your toes behind you. Take arms up into the air. With an exhale, squeezing to center. Lift back up into high lunge. Open, warrior 2. Reverse your warrior. Reaching up into the sky. Windmill. Bring your hands down to the floor. Step back, plank, right foot lifted. Extend. Then right knee to the ground. Kickstand. Open up sideways. Reach up overhead with this left arm. Flex left foot lifts. Here's the back bend. Okay, bend the knee, reach back with left hand. Again, we're working left leg. Okay, kick it back, head goes back, okay? Chest, belly, hips go forward. There's that back bend. Let's release it, re-extend it, okay? Turn, bring hands to the ground to tabletop, right there. Then we're gonna tuck toes, both sets of toes, lift knees, plank pose. Come all the way down, chaturanga, all the way to belly. Point your toes behind you, extend right arm forward, bend left knee, reach back, catch foot or ankle. Same thing, left leg. Okay, half bow pose. Just a good extension is fine. Don't worry about trying to lift too high at all. Inhale. Exhale, release the foot. Bring both hands underneath shoulders. Tuck your toes if you can. This is a nice power move. Press yourself back up to plank pose. Bend knees, hips to sky, down dog. Lengthen spine. That's our sequence. With an exhale, jump, step, or walk, both feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, extend spine. Exhale, fold. Feel that nice release in the back. I want to get us relieved in the back body before we get to the other side. Let's go ahead and stand. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Come up tall. Reach up, touch the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Just a couple breaths here, okay? That's our sequence. We're just gonna go through it one more time is all. Other side. Inhale, float both arms up into the air. Exhale, swan dive forward. Go at your own pace. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, bent knees, hands to the ground. Walk or step feet back into plank pose. Come down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Take your time if you're behind. That's okay. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg goes into the air. Extending, bend and twist. Exhale, unwind, step through. Left foot to the top of the mat. High lunge, right heel stays lifted. Let's rise up. Now we're working that right leg. Okay, reach high. As we're reaching high, start wiggling the left foot forward a little bit. We're lunging, squeeze to center as we bend this right knee a whole lot until it comes down to the ground. You can even bring your arms down. Long legs, pointed toes behind you. Lean back a little bit, send left foot forward so we can then take everything forward into that deep lunge, protecting this front knee. Couple of breaths here. Working this right leg, the next three poses. Coming out of that deep lunge, leaning back so we can slide this foot back 90 degrees here. Tuck your toes behind you. Both arms up into the air with an exhale. Squeeze into center to give you some power to lift back up to high lunge. Open warrior two. Reverse your warrior. Left hand up into the air. Here's our windmill, bringing hands down to the ground in front. Step back, plank, left foot lifted, extending. Knee to the ground. Kickstand. Opening up, side plank variation. Right hand overhead. Lift, flex left foot. You can stay here if you want or go for that back bend. Reach back, catch that ankle, kick it back, send your belt buckle forward, opening up through the whole front body. Balanced here too. Let's re-extend the limbs. Turn. Hands and knees to the ground. Tuck toes. May want to step the hands forward a little bit. Plank pose. Extending. Come all the way down to belly. Extend left arm forward. Bend right knee, reach back, catch ankle. Lift. One more breath. Release. Hands underneath shoulders. Tuck toes. Power move. Press back up to plank. Bend knees, hips to sky, down dog. Hold down dog. Get some lengthening in the spine. All right, now to come to our closing sequence. We're gonna hop forward, cross legs, take a seat, or just kneel down. Take a seat in the center of your mat. Okay, we're gonna do the exact same poses we did earlier. I'm just adjusting my mat. Okay, so bring in your blocks again. So we're gonna do that bridge pose and then that leg extension just to kind of relax everything. And why don't we do bridge supported on the blocks or one block. So bent knees, feet flat on the ground. Exhale, engaging so you can lift your hips, slide blocks underneath you. That way we can ensure some relaxation here. So you don't feel like you have to hold yourself up. Your arms can just relax on the ground here, checking in with your breath, just noticing if you're slightly out of breath or you're breathing quickly. One more deep breath in and out, and we'll do that leg extension. We'll start with the left leg. Just bring the left knee towards chest, flex the foot, push through the heel, extend it, slowly bringing the foot down to the ground. You can even relax it. You can stay just like this. You can even add a little bit more by extending left arm behind you if you want, if that feels okay. And see, I mean, there's probably some minor engagement in the body, but mostly that it's relaxed because we're just sitting on the blocks, creating this little hill so we can get that extension through this left side. Okay, let's bring the left arm back down by its side. Bend the left knee, plant that foot. Let's bring right knee to chest, flex the foot, push through the heel, extend, and bring it down to the ground. Nice light landing. Same thing, if you want, you can extend your right arm behind you. It's really just an option. And hold. Notice your breath again. Maybe you're breathing a little bit more slowly and deeply. So in this work, we're really finding some stretch, some extension, and even some strengthening because there was a lot of engagement there too. But just bringing awareness to kind of this section of the body. All right, let's bend the knee, plant the foot, push both feet into the ground so you can lift your hips, remove your blocks out from underneath you, come down to the ground. Let's just hold here. I know for me, I like this position because it allows my whole back body just to relax. Knees bent, my whole back is touching the ground, not engaged at all. All right, go ahead and choose a hip opener. It could be reclining cobbler's pose. And because you're here, it's an easy pose you can get into if you'd like. Just bring the feet and legs together. Gently drop both knees out to either side, and the soles of the feet touch, and you're there. You're in your reclining bound angle posture, and that stretches the inner thighs here. My legs, they're almost touching the ground, but and this feels fine, but sometimes it might feel like you're being overstretched in this position. So if you want, if you got two blocks or even just two pillows, you can just tuck them underneath the knees, something like this, so the legs don't feel like they're falling open and pulling and stretching too hard. This way you feel a bit more supported for sure, and it's a less of a stretch. So you can do that. You can even do happy baby pose if that's a pose you really like to do. That also gets into the hips, inner thighs. So just a few more breaths here. Feel free to stay as long as you'd like in your hip openers. Next pose will be a twist. So whenever you're ready for your twist, you can hug both knees to chest. And then take both knees over to the left side, extend right arm off to the right side. Props can also come in handy for this. Again, the legs don't have to touch, nor does that left leg need to touch the ground. You can even put something underneath that left leg or between the knees just to provide a little bit more support. Two more breaths on this side. Whenever you're ready, take your time, come back up to center, even hold center for a moment, just so things can start to realign. And then you can take knees over to the other side, again, using any props that you like for extra support. Knees to the right, left arm extends out to the left, creates that natural rotation in your torso. Once again, just notice your breathing. Two more breaths. Whenever you're ready, slowly return to center. You might even hug both knees into chest. Decide here what you would like to do next. You're certainly welcome to go into any other pose. It might be an inverted pose, maybe a shoulder stand into plow, fish pose, just as a way to complete, or more twists or back bends, hip openers, whatever you want to do, adding on. But if you feel complete, or whenever you do feel complete, go ahead and make your way to Shavasana. And that might be just extending the legs out in front of you, arms down by your side. And maybe because you've got your blocks and blanket nearby, you can use those as support for your body, creating a nice restorative position. Here's an example. If you happen to have a blanket, you maybe rolling it up and placing it underneath your legs like this, so there's a slight bend in your knees. Sometimes that's a little bit more relaxing, much more comfortable. Coming to this place of relaxation and meditation. Stay exactly where you are. No need to move. It's just an opportunity to return to the awareness of your breath. Full release and relaxation. In a moment, I'll start to end the practice, but you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to. As I end the class, there's no reason for you to move. Just stay where you are if you like. And whenever you feel like it is time to move, rather than rush out of this position, take your time. You might even start with 5 slow, deep breaths. Feel movement gradually return to your body. After your 5th breath, moving your body in slow motion, just roll onto either side of your body. Just moving into a nurturing pose for a breath or two, longer if you'd like. It's very comforting. Carefully rising to seated when you're ready. You can sit on your folded blanket or a block. If it feels okay, you can cross your legs. You can even keep your legs extended. If you're seated, see if you can find some extension through your spine. And your arms maybe just relax down by your side. Hands can rest on your knees or in your lap, or even bring hands to heart center. Return to some fullness in your breath. Very nice. We're going to end with one movement and a breath. We'll inhale, extend arms out, reach all the way up. As you exhale, bring your hands together and down to your heart.
Once your hands come to heart center, take one more breath in and out. Hold in stillness for a moment, gentle breathing. And as we come to the close of this portion of our journey together, we bow, saying, Namaste.